Hello and welcome again to Hot Flashes and Cool Chats. As some of you guys might know, you've seen a couple of these so far. I started these conversations because through my work, the community that I'm building, I meet so many amazing people, and they're just as passionate as I am about supporting women in midlife. So I want to share them. So this chat series is all about introducing you to the people that I meet so you can hear their stories, you can get to know them personally, you can learn about their products and their services and how maybe they can be a resource for you or someone in your family. So we can make this season in our life just a little bit brighter, just a little bit easier, and of course, more empowering for all of us. So today, welcome, welcome. I have Katie Chapman. She's a registered dietitian who specializes in nutrition and wellness. And I just wanted to learn a little bit about you and how you support women in midlife.
Yeah, oh my gosh, thanks for the lovely introduction. I'm thrilled to be here. I love chatting about this subject.
Yes.
Um, I'll start first a little bit, I guess, about me and then how I support people. So I've been a registered dietitian for coming along to 17 years now, so quite some time.
You know what you're
And
doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Been around the block a little bit. And so we're kind of my interest and my practice interest lies is in gut health and hormone health. And that can encompass a lot, but they're so interconnected. And so it's almost like I can't look at one without also looking at the other.
Yeah.
And so in kind of my private practice, I have a virtual practice and a team of dietitians along with myself. And what we do is we try to make nutrition and wellness one approachable, but kind of
Mm.
really look at like how do we support women in this season
Yeah.
through actual just quality care and looking at how are some things that we can do that empower ourselves. Not only are we, hey, maybe we need to tweak something with how we eat or how we map out our day in terms of eating, or is there something lifestyle that can help us a little bit more?
Yeah.
I always like to mention supplements too, because we do utilize targeted supplementation, but I think that's a whole kind of other bag of worms, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not getting all the nutrients we really should be getting when
Mhm.
we're eating perfectly. I know not all of us eat perfectly anyway.
And that's okay, because also life should have a little fun too. So I
Yep.
mean that's part of this, but not only are we looking at like nutritional, let's say supplements or like vitamins and minerals, but oftentimes I see that people are trying to get relief from things like, let's say it is hot flashes or bloating or something.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out that best fit. And it'll be like, oh, okay, I got recommended this. So I tried this and oh, it made me feel worse. Or I
Right.
got recommended this and honestly, nothing's happening, but I'm taking it every day. And
Yeah.
so we really like to be targeted with our knowledge, what we're doing to actually help support
Yeah.
all of what's happening.
Yeah, it's so hard because I think that's the challenge. We get so much information, and I think
Yeah.
everybody's body is so different. And so you
Yes.
can talk to a friend of yours who might be recommending something that works for them, and
Yep.
it might work for you, but it really takes a professional like you to say,
Yeah.
here's what's actually happening and going on in your own body,
Hmm.
and here's the proper support for it. And as we know, hormones are getting blamed for everything right now. So,
Yes.
really, what kind of role do they play?
Right.
Anything that you can kind of talk to about that on, how our bodies are processing food and all that kind of stuff
Yeah.
during this stage?
Yeah. So what I can say is like quite a few things happen actually. And so if we're looking at just this stage in particular, so our changes in our estrogen levels and our estrogen levels lowering, that
Mm,
actually lowers and shifts our gut microbiome. And
mm,
why that microbiome is important and why we're always kind of, we're hearing more about even that aspect, but they're the ones breaking down your food. They're the ones utilizing and extracting those nutrients to be able to bring them into our system. And so when that kind of starts to shift, what we find is like we can be more sensitive to food. So not only, hey, I used to eat this all the time, and now when I eat it, I don't feel well. We
yeah,
can also see that when someone eats something, their body reacts a little bit more potent. So often what happens is that as we age, and I will say as we all age, I know we're looking at women specifically for sure, but all of us, we get to be a bit more sensitive to sugars and having more sensitive and needing some usually support around how to just help our blood sugar and that whole process in our bodies.
yeah,
And then, just think if we're not getting in those nutrients from food because our microbiome's shifted, then oh my gosh, we don't have our just baseline foundation for the things our body
yeah,
needs to do. And some of that is like, okay, the air we breathe and like if we can move our arm, but that's also when a lot of times it's like, oh gosh, okay, my body shape starts changing a bit. And some of these things that are really frustrating, but can also be supported with looking at how what changes in our system and what
yeah.
can we do?
I have personal experience that I feel that, kind of like exercise, a lot of us women talk about this. We used to, work out a certain way and we can still
Hmm.
do the same workout, but not getting the same results.
Yep.
Similar to food. We were eating this and now just, I have my sister one time
Yep.
in one of our mamas in menopause groups said, I swallow my saliva and I gain weight,
Yeah.
jokingly.
Yeah,
And
but
and it's so true.
feels
Things
like
that
it.
I know I used to eat just don't sit right. A
Hmm.
big one is alcohol too. My
Yep.
husband's big, wine connoisseur, and we often socialize and sip our wine. And
Yeah.
even now, it affects me so differently than it used to. And sometimes it's white's affecting me wrong, and sometimes it's red.
Right.
It's not even one or the other, which is so strange to me.
Yeah.
It shifts and changes. So I got
Yeah.
to keep up,
Yeah.
with what I should be putting in my body and what I shouldn't be putting in my body. And it's a
Yeah.
ever going battle and learning lesson.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I can say is that, one, yes, you're exactly right. And it is frustrating is all get out.
Yeah.
But I think I look as like a professional in this space, a lot of times what I'm looking at is like almost the whole system approach and what shifts
Mm.
and changes and goes like, how can we support that a little bit better?
Yeah.
And it might be, oh, we need to support this system of how it breaks down a little bit better so
Mm.
that not that it's going to be back to where it was in our 20s. I mean, I don't know who can do that,
Yeah.
but that it's just also a little bit easier of where you're sitting at now. And the whole goal is to make all of this change and just, as you're going through this whole process, to make that process as easy as possible.
Yeah. And that's the hard part. I think
You know?
we're trying so many different things and we're
Yeah.
so tired. We've tried everything, the diet. So
Hmm.
I don't know, just what's some kind of fresh take or perspective. Like we had a group on Sunday that was in
Yeah.
person live at my house. And one of the things that, really stood out to me was mindset and
Hmm.
how women in our country might be suffering a little bit more from symptoms because the way we think about
Hmm.
menopause.
Hmm.
And I'm assuming it's the same thing here with diet. So how can we maybe
Yeah.
shift our mindset a little bit to embrace this time, embrace
Mm.
the changes, and maybe the shape is on the outside, but from the inside, what can we
Yeah.
do?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, so wonderful, and I'm glad the mindset was mentioned because it is such a key piece of this.
Yeah,
And I would say on the nutrition front, one thing that I oftentimes see is most of the time people come in and they're like, what do I have to take away? What can I have? And
yeah,
honestly, most of the time, I'm looking at, okay, well, we need to actually add this. So we have this certain nutrient, and this is
yeah,
available for us. And we need to add this part. Maybe we are going to lessen something, but and oftentimes if we feel like we are coming to see the food police, and I promise as a dietitian, I am not the food police at all. um, that makes it to where it's like, oh gosh, okay, this doesn't feel, I feel like I'm in shackles. Like it doesn't. And so coming in with the kind of going like, okay, hey, some things might need to shift of how I eat on a regular basis, but we have wiggle room. There is some fun in all this. We
yeah,
probably need to add some things. We might take some things away, we might not.
yeah.
But just being really open to that process of just like, how can we, things are going to shift in the way I eat and it'll look new and different, but new and different isn't always bad.
It is true, and I can resonate with that so much because I'm not a big breakfast eater. I just never really
Yeah,
have been. And I've been told kind of time and time again, I need to eat breakfast. It's the most
yeah,
important day. And maybe it is for some, maybe it's not for others. I just know for me
yeah.
personally, I have not been good at that. And I've
Mm-hmm.
been strongly encouraged by the professionals that I'm seeing that I need to be better at eating my breakfast. So get up, I do my exercise,
Hmm.
eat my breakfast. I have to do that before I get ready and get started with the day because especially since COVID, I think a lot of people can relate
Yeah.
as well. You just get back to back to back to back meetings.
Oh, yeah.
And it is so hard to find time to put that time in. And I think
Hmm.
that the more we're getting experience with this, more hours in front of the screen does not mean you're
Hmm.
more productive. And you are the most productive when you are taking care of yourself first
Yeah.
and then taking care of others. So I'm taking this to heart and I have started a new habit and, of eating my breakfast in the morning before even, I've been doing this even before I shower. So it gives me an excuse, like no excuse.
Yeah.
If I want to look good for the day and be showered, then I better eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
changing my habits personally. Definitely, definitely. That's something where I know personally
Yeah.
my little habit should help me. So wish me
Yeah,
luck on
yeah,
that one.
no, I'm excited to hear of just,
Yeah.
okay, how's that look for you? And I think the other part too is if you're working with a practitioner, and I'll say myself or my team, but also any practitioner, sometimes when something doesn't quite click, like that's important to know because we can also help go, okay, let's think of this differently. And I know a lot of times like people are like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be so mad at me, Katie. And I'm like, no, I'm never, I'm
Yeah.
not mad. Let's try to figure, I want to be here to help. Let's try to figure
Yeah.
this out. And if it's not clicking with what you're doing, let's rethink this. And I love your
Yeah.
little shower part because sometimes it is a matter of like, I just have not done this forever and change
Yeah.
is new.
Change is hard. Change is
Hard.
new and change is hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it really is, bringing in the right team of people and
Yeah.
asking for support. Um, and I think it really is so important that this is a time of life it's a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
We
Oh
do the
yeah.
best we possibly can. We have chaos in our lives from so many factors, as we
Yep.
know, from what's going on in our bodies and in our possibly career shifts and our
Oh yeah.
family changes, whether that's your aging parents or growing kids and everything in between. Um,
Absolutely.
but it really, really is so imperative to find that time for yourself unapologetically and being okay with that. So,
Yeah.
that was kind of a challenge that I had. What
Yeah.
would you find are the most challenges that you hear with women in midlife? and like some nutritional challenges that they face.
Yeah, so I think nutritional challenges that at least that I hear, I think one is time. It just,
Yeah,
I mean, it sounds like
time.
not nutritional, but it is. I mean,
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest challenge that I hear, and I always am like, okay, let's not overthink this. We can do things that don't require exorbitant
exactly. A
time.
bunch of chopping and cooking and recipes. Yeah.
We don't have to do that. Like sometimes, like if that feels enjoyable for you, awesome, great, we can
Mhm.
figure that out. But if it doesn't, okay, we'll shift on what that looks like. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing that comes up just in the nutritional
Yeah,
space, is the time part. I think the other part is, and I like how you mentioned that, like taking time for yourself. And again, this is a time factor, but like that's the other part that I see too, is that people get into just this like, okay, well, this came up and then I skipped the eating.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay, get it completely,
yeah,
completely. But if that is what happens on a regular basis, you just start a whole chain reaction of just messaging and kind of, not quality use of
yeah,
what you are putting in your body, because your body kind of just really questions like, okay, well, am I going to get what I need to function? And I'm not sure. So, bodies are amazing because they
yeah.
adapt. But the thing is they adapt in some of the ways we don't want them to adapt.
I can relate, and I almost feel like you are literally talking to me because I know there's a private session that we've just recorded
Every
because that's exactly it. I know it's my body has this pattern now of just kind of not knowing what is
Yeah.
regular, what's right, what
Yeah.
when they should be going into reserves, when it shouldn't be, and all everything in between as much as I know. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think that people really, really need to talk to amazing professionals like you. And I think that we're
Yeah.
literally just like touching the surface of what you have to offer and how you can be a resource for women. So I'm so thankful that you're able to take the time. But I wanted to make sure before we close that
Yeah.
we let women know the best way to connect with you, learn about your programs, maybe get support from you. So if you want to share a
Absolutely.
little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll start with a couple of kind of unique things that we offer. Not only do we see people individually, and everything is individualized. And I think that that's so key because I, as we're all unique, I don't ever have a situation that comes like to me and describes, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's this one thing you're gonna do. It's all about putting the personal pieces together. And so we offer that support. We also at the same time offer some functional testing. And so what that helps, or that can be insightful, and we help to navigate people with this and what we might want to use it for, is we'll look at gut microbiome, especially if someone has a lot of digestive symptoms or we're needing to take a closer look at how that's functioning. And
Yeah.
then also at the same time, we'll do some hormone testing, which is urine based, because we're actually trying to see how those hormones are being broken down in the
Wow.
system and utilized. So it's a little bit different than maybe what you have done before. And those are all great and insightful. But sometimes if there's a piece missing, or we're going, oh man, something's just a little bit off, we might want to see the breakdown and use of something, or the use of those hormones.
Wow.
So those two tests can be really helpful in all of this as well. So I always like to mention of like, not only this, but we also do this
Yeah.
too. So if even just exploring this, you can reach us. I would say website is probably best way to go about it. on our website, so katiechapman.com. And if you take a look at my little name, there's a little bit of a spelling difference at
Yeah,
the end of my last name, but it's myself, and I have some other dietitians that very much practice in the same way as I do. We've been an awesome team for a bit here, but
love it.
you
Takes
can
a
go.
village.
It does. And you can go and you can book a call directly. We always start with just a meet and greet call, right? We want to get to know a little bit more about you so we can also help to navigate of what we think like, do we need a test? Do we not need a test? When to do
Mhm,
this? How to get started. And we want to be thoughtful of how we walk through that with you. And
mhm.
so that is the best place to start. And then I also can give you our office number too. That also can work as well. And that is 323-508-3550. And Meredith, I'll write everything up too for you as well if you want to put
Get
it in
it
the notes.
all. Yep, we'll put it, we'll make sure everything's in the notes so everyone can easily find you and get a hold of you. But I
Yeah.
wanted to thank you so much for joining today on our Hot Flashes and
Yes.
Cool Chats. It's such an
Yes.
honor to chat with you, learn more about your expertise and for you to share your wisdom with all of us listening. And I am so appreciative, so thank you. But until next time, mamas, remember you are not alone on this midlife journey. We're here together doing this, all of us together. Hot flashes, cool chats, and hopefully with all this, people that I'm introducing you to, some really good, meaningful connections. So
Yes.
thank you once again. And thank you again for Katie for
Absolutely.
joining us and sharing everything with us. Until next time. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.